Before we dive in, here's another show you can enjoy in the True Story FM family of entertainment podcasts. Hey there, true believers. Andy Nelson here from the Marvel Movie Minute podcast with the rest of the team.
Pete Wright, Kyle Olson,
Rob Cabasco,
and Matthew Fox.
This is the podcast where we dissect the Marvel Cinematic Universe 1 minute at a time, exploring every detail of this epic superhero franchise.
In our season looking at Iron Man 3, we're going to mix things up a bit.
That's right, Rob and I are your guides, but instead of our usual minute-by-minute format, we dive into 5 minutes of the film in each weekly episode.
It's a totally new approach, but one that still allows us to explore all the depth and detail that makes these movies so special, even if Iron Man 3 isn't all that special.
Hold on, that's where you're wrong. Extremist, Shane Black.
Yeah, would you like to look at the Mandarin and Maya Hansen? Mm-hmm.
So whether you're a die-hard Marvel fan or just love deep dives into movies, there's something for everyone on Marvel Movie Minute.
Suit up and join us on this epic audio adventure. You can find us at truestory.fm or by searching Marvel Movie Minute on your favorite podcatcher.
Because in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, every minute is packed with excitement.
Enough said.
Okay, now for the lightning round.
I'm so good at lightning rounds. That's from Friends. It's my favorite show.
20 seconds on the clock starts now. Who is the captain of the USS Enterprise?
Oh, crap. Is it, Captain Stubing? No, Morgan? Crunch?
Next question. Which superhero is Tony Stark?
Stark. Did Game of Thrones have superheroes? I only watched 2 episodes.
What planet were Luke and Leia born on?
Planet Fitness?
Oh, time's up. Sorry. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Hey everybody, Mandy Kaplan here. Please check out my podcast, Make Me a Nerd, where each week an incredible guest tries to baptize this mainstream mom into the world of sci-fi, fantasy, and all things nerdy. Available wherever you podcast.
That's our show, folks.
Wait, I just thought of it. Padme Amidala gave birth to her twins Luke and Leia on Polis Massa. No, that's dumb. Is it Planet Hollywood?
Coming up on The Devil's Details, what the hell is going on? Goethe's Faust, Part 2, Act 1. Did we already do that joke? I think we already did.
Oh, yeah, of course we did.
I feel like every time, like even before I finish asking, I was like, you know the answer, Lester. Good morning, Star, and welcome to another episode of The Devil's Details, a show where we dig up, decipher, dissect, and deconstruct the many forms of the devil. One of my names is Lester Ryan Clark.
And I sometimes go by Keenan Diaz.
And we're just 2 lost souls hitchhiking down the highway to hell. So this is Part 2 of Goethe's Faust. Part 1, you'll remember, was the whole Gretchen arc. It was the basically the story that the opera covers. If I'm not mistaken, again we haven't seen that yet, but that's what I'm thinking is Gounod's Faust just covers the Gretchen arc.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the one that a lot of people are familiar with is Gretchen or Margaret or Marguerite trying to get away from this skeezy sorcerer named Faust who has a buddy named Mephisto who eventually drags him to hell in the end. And that's if you went to the opera, that's what you bought your tickets for, and that's probably what you get. But Goethe says no or 9. He says. Mm-hmm. He says there's more. Did you know that Mephisto meets a bunch of other beings from other mythologies? Yes, yes, he does.
A bunch of other things.
A bunch, right? I was excited to do this, Keenan. Before you read this, like when I gave us this assignment of like, okay, let's read Act 1 of Part 2. Mm-hmm. Did you know that it was going to get this like off the rails crazy?
It's pretty crazy. It is about economics,
Uh-huh.
which is a topic that I like. It's got dozens of new characters. It's a little John Milton-y in that respect. There's a lot of like annotations I just glossed over and like, well, that probably means something to somebody, and I'm just going to not read that footnote and continue on. But yeah, I'm reading it one act at a time before, so I haven't read ahead to the next act to see. So I have no idea what this play is about. I have no idea what we're possibly setting up here.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
And yeah, folks, this one is famously tough. It's also famously not often staged or performed because I think a lot of people feel the same way. They're like, well, didn't we just have a Faust? And then to follow that Faust with one that is so crazy, cuckoo, banana pants, off the walls, off the rails, bonk magonkers.
Yeah, Gorilla Magilla or Magilla and Gorilla. I don't remember which one is the real.
This is, I mean, we're going to get into it, but like when I say like this threw me for a loop, even just the, because we're coming to find that the radio play that we that we purchased doesn't cover nearly all of it. So we had to kind of like actually consume it.
What do you call it? A book.
Yeah, right?
The written down in words part.
See, my brain is so fried, listeners. I forgot what a book is.
But apparently Faust was not Faust, what's his name? Goethe.
Goethe, yeah.
That's like we call it like Twain, Huckleberry Finn, which I'll do all the time.
Yeah. When Dracula wrote Bram Stoker.
Exactly. I call Walt Disney
Frankenstein
Mickey Mouse
is
and vice versa.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
all the time in my class. I'm like, and then Mickey went, I'm like, no. That's not his name. Mickey Mouse is a fictional mouse. Its name is in the title, right? He's a mouse, yeah. But yeah, like Goethe was working on this play for 60 years. So the vast majority of his life, I mean, that was his life, was 60 years working on this play.
Yeah.
I read that he did not read Marlowe's version until very late in the process. Yeah. Yep.
Oh.
So he reads Marlowe's version in 1818, and then he's like, okay, got to work on part 2.
Oh, so he completed all of part 1 without knowledge of Marlowe's. Wow.
Yeah, they were working from the same sources, right? The Faust, the chapbooks, and all of that stuff, right? That had been around, and then he writes the first part, and then he reads Marlowe's, and is like, well, I guess I have more things to cover here, because I don't know if that's like, oh, look, Marlowe took some liberties with this. I can take some liberties. I could take a lot of liberties. And then some parts that are famous in Marlowe's version, like the inclusion of Helen and Troy, we get right at the top here in Act 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was working on this pretty much up until his death. And then Act 2 is released a few months after he is dead.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was not published until he was gone.
Wow. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be thinking of that as I go through this second part. Actually, okay, so what you're saying actually reminds me a little bit of how people view like new entries of like beloved franchises like Star Wars, like Lord of the Rings, like, this or that, right? Well, let's do Star, because like Tolkien wrote all this stuff already, so it's like not surprising. But like when you have something like, episodes 4, 5, and 6, and you're like, okay, I understand this world, right? I understand the characters. I know, the dark side, the light side, the Empire, the rebels, and there's Yoda, and there's Han Solo, and there's all those people, right? And there's the Emperor, and the Emperor is fucking dead in episode 6, and you're like, okay, like this was a great story. I want to, and then you go and you read the books, which were canon back when you were reading them.
Oh,
and you're like,
all those extra books, right? Yeah.
And you're like, oh my gosh, this is so vast. This is, it's pre-internet, so it's like they have a book for like every like weird creature in the canteen, and you're cantina. Jesus, Lester, get it together.
But Luke or Leia and Han's like twins and stuff like that, right? They're the heroes of the next one, future generations, etc.
And you're just like, this is awesome. And then there's like, oh, we're coming out with 7, 8, and 9. You're like, oh, great, now I get to see that up on the big screen. And then it's like, I have a grandchild. And I'm back, by the way.
Also, I'm back.
But no, I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little bit too cruel to both, like, the world of Star Wars and to Goethe. It's like, but I feel like he never left the world of Faust.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yep.
he's been working on it this whole time, and it like so for readers and for viewers of the like stage productions and everything like that to kind of like feel like surprised and be like, well, geez, I didn't know that Mephistopheles was going to go off on this like weird little side quest with a homunculus or whatever. And like to Goethe, it's like, well, yes, of course. It's like I have the outline, I have the brainstorming notebook. Like, look at all this stuff. You know, it's like I've been working, like he's been going on the side quest for 30 years. It's like, you know. But for us, it's such a departure. It's such a surprise. But I am excited to get into it. One more thing. I mean, like, folks, if you've been listening to us since the very beginning when we did The Exorcist Minute, you know that I kind of have a stick up my butt about, you know, the whole Pazuzu being, you know, like in The Exorcist because he's like a Mesopotamian demon. We're messing with the pantheons. Like he should be a Judeo-Christian Abrahamic demon fighting the priests. You know, it's like we're mixing these religions. Like why are we doing that? Which one is right? You know, and all that stuff. And I was expecting to feel the same way about this. I was expecting, it's like, because it's such a big deal. You summon Mephistopheles, and we know that Mephistopheles is the devil in this one, right? He was talking to Derek Jacobi and all of that as God. And then now it's like, oh, he's like a Loki, or he's like he's just like one of many like underworld figures or something like that.
A devil.
He's a devil, right? Even though he is the devil, he is a devil. So he's both. Socrates. And I thought I was going to be annoyed. I thought that was going to like ruffle my feathers. Weirdly, it doesn't. You know, I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to say, you know, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe because I guess they're just like so open about it, and they just like pour it on so thickly right from the get-go, maybe.
Right, and this first act, I think, takes great pains to be like, this is a whole other play.
Yeah.
It feels different. It has a whole different tenor to it. There's not a whole lot of Faust and not a whole lot of Mephistopheles in the beginning. Like a total palate cleanser, in addition to, you know, characters coming on and being like, hey, remember that last play? You have forgotten everything that happened there. Ooh, magic.
Right? It's like you know, the Men in Black came on with a little pen and it's like
right, and then they do the little dance.
Yeah.
Takes a long time.
Right.
Every time they memory flash someone, they gotta do a little song.
Right. Because that needs to be the first thing that their new memory remembers, you know? So like these two weird guys dancing in front of me.
I just slide with me, just slide with me.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So yeah, let's get into it. So this is Goethe's Faust, Part 2, Act 1, and we open on it says a pleasant landscape. That's where we are, right? So a few years have passed since Part 1. We open with Faust lying on the grass amidst nature. He's trying to sleep as dusk fades into dark. Right? We got some delicate.
Well, where's he been?
I know.
Where's he been this whole time?
Yeah. You heard that right, folks. He wakes up in a field. Our Faust from Part 1, he wakes up in a field. Why is he in the field?
Yes.
Who put him there? Is he as surprised? I don't think he's surprised. He's, you know. Or no, he doesn't wake up in a field. He's trying to fall asleep in a field.
Yeah, he's been somewhere.
Yeah.
But I just want to reiterate before you go on that the last we saw of Faust, the last we saw of our friend Faust, he was being dragged away to hell.
Yes, he was dragged away to hell, and you can only imagine it took 30 years for that dragging to occur, and then, like, they stop, and Mephisto's like, actually, never mind.
Right.
Here's a field.
Right. So not only has he been dragged to hell, this relationship between him and Mephistopheles finally becomes what it was always meant to be, which is Mephistopheles is the one who's dragging him down to hell, right? And like they're no longer Mephistopheles is not his servant anymore, or his buddy or compatriot. He's his dammer.
Yeah.
And then that's completely not the relationship in Act 1. They're like buddies again. They're like pals in some ways.
Oh, you mean in Act 2?
Yeah, in Act 2. Yeah.
Oh, I mean in Act 1 of Part 2.
In Act 1 of Part 2.
Yes. Oh, boy.
So that's just a big ellipsis that we have to overcome. The relationship is I don't want to say reset, but it is different than the last we saw of that. Like if you were Faust, you might be like playing it at the
Weren't
very
you
end of
just trying to like
like digging your nails, right? Like as he's pulling you down, like desperately kicking and punching, right? Like like Sally Field and Norma Ray. Do you know this story about?
No, I don't.
So in Norma Ray, she's getting arrested near the end of the movie, and then Martin Ritt, the director's just like, yeah, just go nuts, and warns the the actors, like, Sally's really gonna do this, but like all the guys playing the cops, like she broke their ribs. She broke one of their ribs and like broke his retirement watch or something like that from playing from being a real cop or something like that. And they're like, well, I mean, they said it was gonna happen, but still.
And see, I thought I had seen the full spectrum of Sally Field performances because I mean, of course, like everybody knows, right? We talk about Mrs. Doubtfire all the time. But I had also seen, like, when I was younger, they showed it in our middle school, I think it was, that movie Not Without My Daughter.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
Yeah, and it was so traumatic that I just remember the name,
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, between that and Mrs. Doubtfire, like, what else?
What else is there?
What else is there? But apparently, I've been sleeping on her because, like, I think she has, like, she doesn't have a spectrum of, like, with two sides. It's like, I don't know, like an asterisk, because it's like you have the left and the right, but then you have the top and the bottom, and then you have the the northeast and the southwest, and you have to. So I have to just examine all of them now, I guess.
Yeah, we got to do that. Every Sally Field. That'll be our next podcast. But yeah, her and Not Without My Daughter. That lady would have solved this Mrs. Doubtfire nonsense like immediately.
Oh, for fucking sure.
Right. She'd be like, not without my daughter, not without my gun.
Yeah. Daniel would have.
Daniel, you have been doing what?
There would have been one less Daniel in the world, folks. And then the next day, it's like, hey, where's Mrs. Doubtfire? Like, she was, because the kids don't know yet,
right?
The kids don't know that their mom righted a right that needed to be righted. They just know that for some reason they can't see Daniel anymore, and also Mrs. Doubtfire has quit.
Mrs. Doubtfire and Daniel go missing on the same day. You're right.
But yeah.
All right.
But no, like a Mrs. Doubtfire caper belongs in this Goethe's Faust Part 2.
Right, that's why we're doing it. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, bring it.
Anyways, okay. So, we almost, I almost let you start talking about the play.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Right. Okay. So he's fallen asleep in this field. We don't know why yet. And we got some delicate ethereal spirits hovering over him. And they're singing to him. And I believe one of them is supposed to be Ariel, like Shakespeare's Ariel.
Yep.
Right? So, all right. And they're easing him of his feelings of guilt and anguish. They sing about the rankings of stars and about the moon and about how in sleep both pain and joy are obliterated. I do like that part. Like there's something about sleep oblivion. You know what I mean? It's like there's no pain, no pleasure, just like, Oh
yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, like I have I don't know if you guys can tell right now, but I have the flu, and man, just going to sleep and just like not having to experience that is so great, right? No. When your emotions are running high, whether it's like happy or sad, and you just like have this nice reset where there's like I don't have to feel anything because like it's almost like I'm not there for that duration, Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about that in Everything Everywhere when we get to like the bagel and all that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you don't have to play up the wonders of sleep to me. Just be careful you're not going to put yourself to sleep while you're talking about it here.
We still got that, that side market of, banana for scale ASMR
right.
That we're working on. But yeah, okay, so, and they sing about like the obliteration of pain and joy in sleep, and then also about the hope of a new day, all right? So this is very fitting, very appropriate for like the opening of our story. And then the sun rises and the spirits kind of like scatter, right? They're hiding from both the sun and its heralds, the sun's heralds, like like the the guys who come out with trumpets and like burr, 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 it's the sun,
Do you mean a rooster? Are you describing a rooster?
Am I okay? we're back with like the problem of Milton again, where it's like, are we being literal?
Right.
We just met Ariel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is the sun's herald a rooster? Which, yes, it is. Or are they talking about like other spirits like Ariel coming in and being like, hey, the sun's coming, you know? Because it could be both. We have a Mephistopheles and an Ariel now, you know?
That's true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, Faust wakes up and he feels great. He feels alive. He feels rejuvenated, refreshed, renewed, and also secure in his resolve. I'm not sure what like he is resolved to do. Other than like he's just like, oh, today's gonna be a great day, right? I guess
was gonna say resolved to not go to hell again, but I don't think that's what's going on.
Yeah. I like he's still chasing happiness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the whole premise is like Mephistopheles still hasn't made him truly happy yet, right? So I get he's finding himself. He's trying to find that inner peace, and he sees the mountains on the horizon, and just seeing them in their beauty and majesty kind of like blinds him to his own personal troubles, and he reflects on how the beauty of nature has this ability to make us forget our pains, right? He sees a waterfall with a rainbow rising from it, and he reflects on how this is a perfect reflection of human striving, right? And how what we call life is actually just a colorful reflection of nature's own majesty. Right? So he's getting all philosophical out here in the middle of a field, right? Yeah, okay.
Very nice, very romantic.
Yeah, right?
With capital R.
With a capital R, right? Because Gretchen is dead, Faust.
She's fucking dead.
That's what I want Mephistopheles to pop up. It's like just in case you forgot, right? Because that's what's happening, right? Like the spirits are soothing him, and the sunrise, and he's looking at the mountains to feel better about fucking killing Gretchen
and his child,
right? Yeah, so
her whole family.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, because he killed her mom. Like let's not beat around the bush about that, right? Like yeah,
and directly the brother.
And also the brother.
Everybody.
Even more directly the brother.
Directly, right.
Yeah. So now, see, okay, like we're supposed to like, I mean, maybe Goethe, with like 30 years of like being with this guy, it's like, oh look, he has woken up and it's a new day and he feels rejuvenated. It's like, look, and all the sun and everything. It's like, Faust, you're going to be okay. But we who have binged this thing
right.
still remember what Faust did. I don't feel good for him. I don't feel sorry for him. I'm like, when is he getting dragged to hell is my question. But yeah, so next scene, we got a palace throne room. So this we cut away after just like Faust waking up, right? I don't even know if we needed that, but I guess we need to know that Faust is still on Earth.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, we cut away to this throne room. Is this the Holy Roman Emperor?
This is the Holy Roman Emperor, but this time we don't have any like hints that I could see, and I couldn't find any scholars saying like if this is supposed to be a particular Holy Roman Emperor, the way that the other ones kind of are fictionalized versions of people. This one just seems to be Holy Roman Emperor.
Yes, right, Mr. Holy Roman Emperor, right?
Right.
And he's very childish. He's not childlike, right? Not like the childlike empress in Neverending Story.
Right.
He is a childish emperor. He's irresponsible. He's only concerned with pleasure. And he has called a council, and he is addressing his courtiers, and also Mephistopheles, who has recently appeared as a replacement to the emperor's old fool, who has suddenly and mysteriously fallen down dead or drunk. We don't know which.
I think like fallen down the stairs, right? Like
when we say fallen down, like we mean like. We don't mean like and then fall down, right?
No, and I thought he had been Showgirls. Do you know like Showgirls, where I'm sure there's other more sophisticated movies or plays that have done this, but like where the understudy has maybe not exactly pushed the leading lady, but like seen in Showgirls, like she kind of sees like this safety issue and doesn't say anything. And
right.
Yeah.
That was my question. It was like it's very convenient that the emperor's regular fool is out of commission. Right. So you don't think Mephistopheles had anything to do with this?
Well, the fool shows back up again. Mephistopheles is like, the fool? What are you doing here? And the fool isn't like, you murdered me.
That's true, yeah.
Right. So it seems like this does seem to be some coincidence. The fool got sick and tripped down the stairs or something. Everyone was like, well, he's probably dead. And then Mephistopheles is like, got a LinkedIn alert immediately and was like, I'm going to get in there.
Yeah. I kind of want to want to have Mephistopheles still pulling the strings, but I mean, like, he's the devil. He can, he can make steps a little bit slippery and make it not look, like he did it.
Yeah, he could do a lot of things. But the fool will show back up, and Mephistopheles is like, "Oh, better watch out for this guy. Our fool is not so much a fool as I think he is."
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
So yeah, I say he can do a lot of things, right? Because he has the power of the devil. There's also, we're going to come to find, a lot of things he can't do. Like if this is his doing, he can't finish it. He has become like a Saturday morning cartoon villain where it's like, oh, I forgot this one little thing, and now the fool is back, right? I better skedaddle.
As a kid, there were episodes of Pinky and the Brain where they get really close, but then it's just bad timing, and then and they give up. And I, as a kid, I was like, just try that again on a different day. There's no reason why that particular one didn't work.
For me, it was Wile E. Coyote. He would try all those gadgets. He would try and it would be like one little thing, and it's like, okay, now you know not to do that thing. You know how to fix it now.
Right.
So just do it again.
You've read the instructions properly now.
Yeah. Right. But yeah, so no, that's kind of what's going on here. But so I just love the imagery of, because Mephisto comes in dressed as the fool, right? But he's playing everybody. He's making everybody dance on a string, which is like, he's got the emperor in the palm of his hand, right? And that's so great. Like, to see him dressed, I imagine anybody who does this part of the Faust production, right? Has this nice kind of jangly jester costume, but it's a little bit devilish also. The colors are a little bit, yeah. So
yeah, I like that idea a lot. It's going to be confusing to me when later all these characters we've just met are playing different people.
Yeah.
But Mephistopheles being the fool and being part of the court, right?
Yes.
Where that's, I guess it's kind of is Shakespeare the one who kind of comes up with that idea of the fool is the one who speaks the truth, or has that always sort of been there? But
I think that is partially based in history. I remember kind of studying about the role of jesters and fools back then, and they could get away with quite a lot, and they could actually they actually had pretty secure and high positions in I guess the influencing of leaders, and also this safety net of well, if he says anything offensive, he's a fool. It's part of his act, and blah blah blah. Right? Yeah, right. But there were more executions of fools than we first thought, because
really?
People will say it's oh yeah, they can say anything. No, that's actually not true. There were some rulers who got quite offended by fools saying some pretty nasty, pretty personal stuff, and then they would just find themselves with their heads cut off or whatever.
Jeez.
Yeah. Myself with my head cut off. What are you doing here? No. So I think this is partially based on historical fact, maybe a little bit more romanticized than was actually the real thing, and definitely influenced by Shakespeare. We're both thinking like King Lear, right?
Yeah,
the Fool, right? Played by Jack McGowan, our Burt Dennings in the Paul Scofield version, which we talked about all of that in The Exorcist. But yeah, okay. So the devil is playing the fool. I like this, and he is being asked, and he is part of this council also. And so the way this seems to be staged is Mephistopheles is standing on one side of the emperor, opposite to the court astrologer, whom we kind of get the impression that he is a very respected, important person of this court. I also almost get the idea that him and our new fool, aka Mephistopheles, are kind of there's sparks coming flying between them.
Romantically?
No. I mean,
just sexually.
No, not even that.
No, so what do you mean?
Or was it another person? Was it the attorney? Oh, maybe it was the chancellor. Somebody doesn't like the fool.
Oh, those kind of sparks. Okay.
Yeah, and they don't like that he's kind of gotten this he's this new guy who's risen up so quickly.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And
it's
I think
his first day, literally.
It's your first day, and they're calling a council, and the emperor thinks you have the best idea, right?
And for the new fool, you haven't told a single joke, you haven't done a single handstand, and the king's listening to you. Yeah. Yeah, and then the astronomer. I think by Goethe's time, right during the Romantic period and like leading up to Enlightenment, like it wasn't the case. But in the medieval court, like an astrologer and an astronomer were pretty much identical, right?
Right. Yeah. And I remember like anytime Shakespeare says something like a philosopher or something like that.
Right.
So you had like philosopher, astrologer, astronomer, like. All of those positions also dabbled in kind of like alchemy and what we today would call like magic, right? So I'm seeing this astrologer here, and I'm like, he is an astrologer. He's not an astronomer.
Yeah, he's like a soothsayer.
Yeah. So we got this astrologer, and I mean, I'm imagining like proto Galileo, kind of like with a little skull cap, and his like long beard, and like clutching a bunch of scrolls in one arm, but also like. So he's gonna talk to us about the planets and the stars, but he's also gonna be like, and Capricorn and Cancer and Gemini and things like that.
Yeah, like the stars, like how they control your fates. He's a soothsayer, but it has the import of a real scientist, or what we consider scientists today. Yeah.
So he's naming planets, but he's also saying sooths.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so we discover that. So as this court is underway, we discover that this is also the season of the Lenten Carnival. So this is the time of like eating and drinking and partying right before the Catholic season of Lent, which is all about like fasting and abstaining and reflecting. It's very, very solemn. So of course, like cultures all over the world with Catholic populations would have this big celebration right before as sort of like a last hurrah before getting like serious and solemn. However, this carnival actually feels more like Lent because the kingdom is in dire straits. Like evils are haunting the realm, the chancellor says, plague, injustice, turmoil, corruption, etc. A military official says that soldiers are looting and pillaging, ignoring orders. Mercenaries are demanding payment. In short, the kingdom has fallen into chaos. Even the emperor's steward says that the palace itself is running out of food and money. All right, so
it's a lot like Oedipus Rex.
Yeah, right.
That we're kind of coming into a court and everything's like, oh, everything's pretty shitty right now.
Yeah. So the emperor asks his new fool, a.k.a. Mephisto, if he has any bright ideas. And I don't know if this was a reflection of like, was this, because we just talked about like, the station that fools actually have, or had back then. Or is this supposed to be Goethe saying like, the emperor is so desperate that he's turning to the fool? I think that's what's going on, right?
He's like, so.
Like I've talked to all of my smart people. Like, hey, is there any chance that you have an idea? Right.
Right. Again, like you're brand new. I don't even know your name.
Right.
The other guy just died. Just cracked his skull on. He was like a monkey jumping on the bed. Cracked his skull, and now we got another one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he just wags his finger at me. No more jesters jumping on the bed.
I was like, I wouldn't dream of it, my liege.
Yeah.
Right, but he's like, yeah, you there. Tell me what to do.
Yeah, basically. And Mephisto gets right to the point, right? He says that a little bit of money will solve all of these problems. He notes that it's like all of these problems are related to money, and that's all we need, right? And he paints this picture of these past civilizations all the way back to ancient Rome, burying their treasure during times of war and strife. And he suggests that all of those riches are lying under their feet today. And to save the kingdom, all they got to do is dig it up. And then here's where the chancellor pipes in, and I think the chancellor and Mephisto, maybe it's the chancellor and Mephisto. They're the one that kind of have this like rivalry going on. And the chancellor, who also happens to be a bishop within the Holy Roman Empire, right? He accuses Mephistopheles and his suggestion of being unchristian.
Yeah.
But eventually the rest of the court, like including the emperor, side with Mephisto on this plan. I like this idea of accusing the devil of being unchristian because it could go either way. It's like he's either the most Christian out of all of you or he's the least, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you explained that because I didn't understand that they were talking about literal treasure under. I thought they were talking about mining. I thought the big idea was like let's mine more.
Yeah. I think it is treasure.
No, I believe you. I completely believe you. I just didn't.
Well, now you've shaken my faith.
What's a metaphor? What's real?
No, I think it is because like they're talking about like the warring nations before this. You know, it's like ancient Rome and all that stuff.
Well, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So everyone exits except for Mephisto, who kind of like laughs at these silly mortals, right? Who seem not to understand that. You know, there's no such thing as luck, and that the reason that they are suffering is because they have brought it upon themselves, right? And now, rather than like do good and be good, and perhaps like tighten their belts and learn how to manage their money, right? They're looking for a quick fix because they haven't learned or changed, right? And I think that's why treasure over like gold and silver ore is because it's like there's literal golden jewels under our feet, like like we let the kingdom get this bad, and like this will be an instant immediate fix, right? Yeah. And we don't know like I don't know if Mephisto is making it up here under the earth, or like if he just knows like he's the master of everything under the earth, and he got it from our buddy Hades, who's like who used to like be in control of that realm. So it's like it could be either that Mephisto's like, I'm gonna like play with these people a little bit. I'm gonna make golden jewels appear under the earth to kind of string them along, or he's like, these idiots, like they don't know, like there's just like tons and tons of treasure right under them.
Well, I like the idea that he's making it happen, because later on we're going to see in this Grand Carnival a character that's something like Hades and something like the devil, right? Like Plutus, right?
Yeah,
who is that part of the devil personified of controlling money, and but specifically like gold and ore and that kind of thing.
Yes.
Can I read this bitchy thing that Mephistopheles says at the end here?
Sure. Yes.
It's great. Merit and fortune travel hand in hand. That's what these fools will never understand. Give them the stone of wisdom, they'd abuse it. They'd never find a wise man who could use it.
Yeah.
Oh. Reaction gif of teenagers holding their faces
right
to that burn.
The emotional damage guy. It's just that is Mephisto's mic drop for this scene. Yeah. Yeah. No, I love it. Yeah. Okay. You know what? It's like, okay, we got Ariel, we got Plutus, we got these other, we got a homunculus and all this stuff. But like I like this kind of mugging the camera Mephisto here.
Yeah, it's a crazy silly Mephisto.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah. Okay, so next, we're still in the Imperial Palace. This is the Grand Hall, right? Where they're putting on this masquerade as part of Carnival. And the herald, right? Not a rooster.
Not a rooster, you sure? Not talking like, rooster?
Definitely not a rooster. I mean, it's a masquerade, so he could be dressed as a rooster.
He's like a rooster.
Yeah. Right. So he's actually a herald, right? He comes out and he's making this whole point about how this masquerade is... So he's talking to us, folks.
Right.
Yeah. The audience, right? And he says how this masquerade is going to be different from your typical German festivals, the ones that are all, dark and gloomy with demons and death-obsessed fools dancing around. I like how that is like, yeah, it's going to be different. There's going to be no, death-obsessed fools and no demons. And we got, we know that Mephistopheles is here, right? Yeah. But he says, like, no, this one is going to be more like what they do in Italy, more cheerful and fun, though the herald can't help but point out that, hey, humans are basically just walking embodiments of foolishness anyway, always have been, always will be, right? So good, 30 years, working on this stuff. Goethe's having some opinions about society. All right. So then we get these flower girls who come in singing, and they're carrying these baskets full of fruits and decorations to hand out to everyone.
So they're not girls who are also flowers either.
Okay. This is... I see what you're doing here. Because they're handing out these flowers to all the costumed partygoers.
Right.
And the flowers start talking about how great they are.
They sure do.
I don't know if this is a metaphor. I don't know. These are flower girls,
right?
But then there are girl flowers, I guess. But like the flower girls like arrange them all around the hall.
Right.
How do you stage this? You have flower girls like played by actors, right? They come in and they got baskets of flowers, but then the flowers are supposed to talk.
Right. I do we like improv comedy, and in improv comedy, you can just literally step forward and go, okay, so now let me just explain this. They're flowers. They're made of flowers. And then these are flowers who were talking, and you just explain that. That's how I would do it. Sure.
Yeah. You can do it like in a cartoon, sure, right? You can have like a little, Pixar, like she picks up the flower and she hangs it on on the wall, and then and then it, its eyes pop open. It's like I'm so happy to be here, whatever. But like, yeah, I don't know how you like. And then they're like, and strangely, this part of Goethe's masterpiece is never staged. And it's like...
right, exactly.
I wonder why.
It over and over again. Like, no one ever puts this on.
No one ever has appreciation for the flower girls or the girl flowers. Yeah. But so they're talking about how great they are, each of them, right? Like rosebuds and, and all that stuff. Branches of grains and olive branches. And, it's like, I'm the best because blah, but and this is before the flower girls like arrange them around the hall, right? And then this mother comes in with her single daughter, and she's like, "Hey, there's fools running around everywhere today. Spread your skirts and try to catch one." So we're back with like Robin and Rafe in the plackets and all that,
right?
But like fools, as in not like the Mephisto fools, but like fool, like moron fools,
horny morons.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Men.
Try to get you a husband.
That's what that is. It's
not
like
you go and have fun, daughter.
Yeah. Catch yourself a man, right?
Right.
Yeah, like a disease. No. Next, we got this whole mix of people showing up. We got fishermen, we got bird catchers, woodcutters, and they're all kind of like coarse and carousing, right? They're all mixing it up with the girls. Then we got these like brown nosers showing up, just falling all over themselves, praising anybody who looks important. There's this drunk guy who gets all offended when the girls reject him, but then like we stay on him for a bit, and he's like, "Fine, I'll make my own fun," and then he just keeps drinking. Right? Everybody's drinking and toasting at this point. And then some poets show up. Some of them are like making fun of like the whole scene, and others get into this like weird philosophical discussion with an actual vampire who looks like he just crawled out of his grave. Is
that is the one where I assumed that was someone dressed as a vampire.
That was the okay.
I don't know why.
Do you have that passage there? Because I was so confused. I was like, okay, we got flower girls and we got girl flowers. Mephisto is the devil.
He's the devil, right? That's him.
But no, that must be. It must be that a guy in costume, right? He was talking to because that's what you do in narration, right? In the Masquerade Ball, Raoul was looking for the Phantom, and he asked a vampire where he had seen the Red Death. Like that's what you would do. You would like
right.
So it has to be. It has to be a guy dressed as a vampire.
I think so.
Because I'm just it's like they should be doing the Transylvania twist, But yeah, I think that's what it is.
Okay, I found this. This is in the John Williams translation of this, right?
Okay.
So there's this poet who's being satirical, right? That's what he says, and so he's sort of looking at the whole crowd, and so this is in the stage description.
Okay.
The night and graveyard poets make their excuses because they are engaged in an interesting conversation with a freshly resurrected vampire, from which a new genre of poetry might develop.
And this is stage direction.
Right.
So it's not. So in the actual dialogue that the actors are like saying, nobody points out that this guy looks like a freshly resurrected vampire.
I don't think he has any lines. I don't think they ever mention it.
It has to be a costume. It has to be a costume.
I don't know what a vampire costume looked like in 1832.
Back then. I keep just seeing Bela Lugosi, but it wouldn't be him. It wouldn't be...
Right, because the idea of what a vampire is relatively new, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, Mary Shelley's friend... Polidori, John William Polidori, right? So that same gloomy summer, That you know the story, right? They were all sitting around, and they couldn't go outside very much because the summer was too gloomy. And they Mary Shelley and her friends had a ghost story writing contest, and Mary Shelley came up with the beginnings of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And then also on that same trip, Polidori writes the short story called The Vampire, and so it's 1819. So that's like the first modern vampire story.
Okay, so we have 1819, right? And he's writing that story. And is he spelling it like the old way? It's like vampire, like with a Y,
right? Pyre.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
And I'm sure, like even back, even when Dracula came out a little bit later, like Dracula himself, right? He's supposed to be dressed just like all in black with a white mustache and and all that. So
he's trying hard not to look like a vampire.
Right.
He's trying to
and he's like you know what I need to be dressed all in black. That will, Well, no, because I think before those kind of like Victorian kind of like prim and proper vampires, you had them looking a little bit more Nosferatu-y. Like they looked like reanimated corpses who were like basically like zombies who were gonna like crawl out of their graves and eat you.
That might be this then, a freshly resurrected vampire.
Okay. So very zombie-like.
Yeah, because I don't think it's John Williams writing this and being tongue-in-cheek. I don't think he's doing that in the rest of it.
Yeah.
But a freshly resurrected vampire from which a new genre of poetry might develop.
Right. This one is called...
Oh my God, Count Dracula, when you rhymed bleh with bleh, oh, it took me there.
I never drink wine. And everyone's like, oh! It's not quite a double entendre, but it's like...
But it's something.
Yeah. But no, I think, I know Bram Stoker wasn't the first, but like there was a time when you had these kind of like shambling zombie-like creatures, and somebody said, "Put that in a tux and make it sexy."
Right, we're already sexually attracted to it, so let's justify that.
Yeah, we're obsessed with it, like because we're obsessed with death. So let's just make it like those. You know what? Let's jump on them bones. But yeah, okay.
Well, that's a lot of that. We're in the vampire trap, and this is a character who doesn't have any lines and might not exist. So maybe we should move on.
Yeah. But okay, yeah. So because this is Faust, folks, we can't not have some Greek mythology, right? So in come the Graces. These are three sister goddesses who handle like all things like beauty and charm, and then we got the Fates, three more goddesses who basically control like human destiny. If you ever saw the Disney's Hercules, you know who the Fates are.
Yep.
They're the ones who is like indoor plumbing. It's gonna be big, right? And they're all singing these kind of like amusing songs, right? We got fear, hope, and prudence. They show up too, like personifications of them. And then Mephistopheles makes his entrance, and he is disguised as this weird two-headed dwarf. But when the herald hits him with his staff, he turns into this gross, shapeless blob, which then becomes an egg, and out of the egg pops an adder and a bat. And they both like zip off into the night to meet up a little bit later.
I don't know where you are, but okay.
You don't remember that part?
I guess not. Okay. Yeah, this is the part where it's like Milton. It's like, well, these are characters. They're like revelers at the court who are playing the Fates and playing the Graces, right? But they're really super accurate, I guess. And so, for all intents and purposes, they are those people. And so then when they start coming out with names I've never heard of, like Zoilothersites. Zoilothersites. I guess my eyes just glazed over. I don't remember this.
You don't know who Zoilothersites is? And people are just like so drunk as it's like that was a really good costume. So okay, are we to understand this is like a hocus pocus situation where like you have Dadula and you have Mom Donna and they're dressed up,
right?
But then like in comes Mephistopheles, but then also like the fates and the virtues, and like some of them are actually the things that they're pretending to be dressed as, and some of them are just like people dressed up as things.
I don't think we have any indication, but yeah, I think that's a fun idea. Yeah,
it is a fun. I like that. I want that to be the case, but yeah, there's no indication that like this vampire is actually a vampire, or he's a guy dressed as a vampire. Mephisto's dressed as Zoila Thericides.
And the herald is like, so either he is turning into a lump and the herald is narrating it, or he's not doing that and the herald is like playing some weird joke, or maybe
like insulting him, like it's like a rap battle. It's like, you're just a lump.
You're a lump who turned into an egg.
Yeah.
Or Mephistopheles is dancing and the herald is narrating that.
Oh, he's like, his dancing is so bad, he's like a Zoila Thericides.
And everyone's like, oh.
Okay, all right.
Reaction GIF.
All right. Well, okay. So my headcanon is that this we got a hocus pocus situation going on, where some of these costumed characters are actually the things they're dressed as.
Yeah.
And some of them are just partygoers dressed in, and it's like, oh, wow, that's a really good costume. So he said to a werewolf who, like, the werewolf is dressed in a suit and tie. It's like, I'm an executive,
Right, exactly.
And he thinks he's That's the whole like he thinks he did a really good job with his executive costume, right? But everyone's like, wow, he looks like a real werewolf. Yeah. Okay. So the herald then looks up, and so the herald is like, nobody else knows that they're in a play.
Right, exactly.
Except for maybe Mephistopheles.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Mephistopheles and this herald. And the herald looks up and sees this charioteer who's supposed to be like the embodiment of poetry, I guess?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess we're assuming this is someone who is playing a charioteer.
Okay, so he's not like the actual like god or anything.
Oh God, I don't know.
Okay.
There's no indication either way.
Yeah.
The play wants it to have it both ways, I guess, right?
Yes. Yeah. And he's coming down.
You could read it like this is really happening, but then the next morning everyone's like, oh, that was all of us in costume.
Right. And we did have like Oberon and all of those folks, the fairies and everything in part one.
Right.
And we have, the literal devil. So I'm like, okay, like anything goes, but just like make it clear to me,
Right, but nobody there is like, holy shit, look at this. They're all just like, oh, this is the best carnival we've ever seen.
Right. But then also, like, this is the best carnival we've ever seen. All these costumes are so realistic. We don't get a wink that like, oh, all these costumes are so realistic. They really look like the three fates. Right. And then like we don't have the fates like kind of like, yeah, we really, like that. Right. So, but anyway, yeah, so the charioteer is like, let me introduce to you this amazing figure in my chariot's throne. And it is supposedly Plutus, the god of wealth.
Right.
Now, folks, you guys know Plutus, right? We met him in Dante's Inferno. He was the one who coined the name Papa Satan that we keep on saying all over the place, right?
He did what?
He said he's the one who coined Papa Satan.
He coined it.
Yes.
Plutus
right?
coined a phrase. You're saying.
I thought you actually didn't hear me, and I was like, God, Keenan. I see. Yes, he coined it, right? Freshly minted. Yeah. But actually, folks, okay, so this one's a little bit more clear. This isn't Plutus.
Right.
This isn't Prince Ali. This is in fact Aladdin. That's what this is, right? This is Faust. So
it is.
Yes.
Well, where do we find that out? The boy charioteer is Faust.
No, not the charioteer. The person playing Plutus.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, that makes more sense. But still, where do we find that out?
See, again, I read this, and then I ran to our like all the other sources, and all the other sources are saying that Plutus is like Faust's costume.
All right, because I was wondering where the hell Faust is this whole play. Like Faust went to sleep and then we don't see him again for. Okay, so good. Yeah. He's in this scene. I was like, don't give me any more scenes where there aren't any Fausts.
Yeah, but I like this. This is Prince Ali.
You're right. Okay,
it's like he comes in on this chariot, right? Yeah. And everyone's like, oh look, like I don't know if there was a costume contest, but
right,
he's gonna win it.
Look at him, glamorous all the above.
Yeah, right. So Faust as Plutus orders them to unload this huge treasure chest from the chariot, and then the charioteer is like, bye, and he flies away. And then
who is that guy?
I don't know.
Faust doesn't have any friends.
Is the He either kills them or betrays them or abandons them.
Right.
Is the wait? Because Mephistopheles, flies off into the night.
Mm-hmm.
Does he come back? Is he the charioteer?
Well, if you're telling me that Faust is
Prince Ali,
then Mephistopheles is everyone who's helping out Prince Ali, right?
Right. He's the genie, and he's like, okay, so maybe the charioteer.
Right.
Like the fact that he can fly away, right?
Yeah. Who faced those bad guys with swords?
He faced the galloping hordes. 100 bad guys with swords.
100 bad guys with swords, right?
He sent those goons
to
their lords.
Right.
Yeah, it was Prince Ali. Yeah. And apparently also Faust. Right? I like this as an evil genie. I can see Robin Williams being Mephistopheles.
Okay, that's good.
A really fun Mephistopheles that would be. Yeah. Plutus also borrows the herald's staff and he breaks it open. And he breaks open the giant treasure chest's lock. And just like all these coins start, flowing out, right? And of course, everybody goes nuts, trying to grab whatever they can. But Plutus takes that herald's staff again. He sets it on fire, and he uses it both to push back the crowd and to create this invisible magic circle around everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been afraid of running into a crowd and snatching money out of the air ever since Tim Burton's Batman.
That is a valid fear, I think.
You think it's valid?
Especially nowadays, yeah.
It's right for me to live my life thinking about.
Even if the money isn't fake, even if it's not poisoned, even if it's, whatever, you're going to get trampled.
Well, that's true. Yeah,
There's the very real, if the money is real and legitimate, everybody's going to be stepping all over you.
Yeah. So I'm always terrified of that.
Yeah.
Tim Burton's Batman is also why I don't use deodorant, and I don't go to art galleries, and I don't watch the news.
Don't listen to Prince.
I don't listen to Prince, right?
Yeah. And I don't piss off Jack Nicholson. And I don't shake anybody's hand.
I don't shake anybody's hands. I'm afraid of those feathers that are also pens. Terrifying.
Oh yeah. 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 And just all learned from Tim Burton's Batman. Yeah. But yeah. So okay, are we supposed to understand that this gold that's kind of pouring out of the chest by Faust Plutus, is this fake? This is an illusion?
No, I thought it was real.
Okay. Yeah. Gosh, this masquerade ball is the death of us. I cannot make heads or tails.
Everyone's playing a part. Yeah.
Yeah. Actors playing actors who might be playing actual Greek mythological beings or are dressed as those.
Right.
And vampires. Yeah. And then in comes this whole a group of satyrs, right? It's looking like Pan, led by Pan. Except it's actually the emperor in disguise.
Right.
So Pan is the emperor. Okay.
That they say pretty plainly the day after.
Yeah. And they brought friends. We got these fauns who are dancing, and these super materialistic gnomes who are all about mining the earth for treasure. Some giants. If those are costumes, how do you do that?
Right. So they're either literal giants or just paper mache heads or something.
Right, yeah. Right. And then some nymphs who are all about worshiping Pan because, to them he represents the entire universe. All of this I took as this is costume.
I guess so. I keep going back and forth. I don't know.
If Pan, so you get the giants is confusing, but Pan, if Pan is the emperor and he's bringing in this entourage of nymphs and satyrs and giants and etc., they all have to be in costume too. They have to be the courtiers.
Yeah. They're all kissing his ass, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, not because he's Pan, but because he is the emperor.
The emperor, right. Yes. Okay. All right. So then Plutus / Faust opens up his magic circle, and there's this massive fountain of fire shooting up from this bottomless pit. And the gnomes are like, oh my gosh, check this out. And they lead him right up to it. And at first, the emperor / Pan is totally cool with it, showing off how brave he is, standing in front of this fire, until it burns off his fake beard, and he actually catches fire himself.
Right.
And then really quick, the mood shifts from, it's like, oh, this is awesome, to like, oh my God, this is terrible. And everybody starts freaking out. The herald's the one who realizes, wait a minute, that's actually the emperor burning. And we find out later that this is actually when the emperor signs this paper money thing that Faust gives him, probably like while he's like surrounded by fire and panicking.
All right, that's what he's signing his name on.
I guess in like making copies of this to like spread around the empire, which temporarily fixes their money problems.
The next day they're all like, "Oh, you signed this thing that says paper money now," and he's like, "I wouldn't have done such a thing."
Is this scene doing what it's supposed to be doing by confusing the hell out of us? Is this like us waking up from a hangover? It's like, remember that, like what do you remember from last night? It's there was a vampire. We introduced the idea of paper money.
Right, we said monetary
Plutus showed
reforms,
up.
Right.
Like, is that like?
Wait, you were Plutus. Wait, no, you were Pan.
Was I? Oh, my head. And he just he turns. And we see kind of like the camera pans over, and we see who else is in the bed, and it's like 3 nymphs and also Mephistopheles.
Oh, and don't forget Agent J and Agent K.
Yes,
they're there. Mm-hmm. In their sleep, they're still doing the line dance.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Let's not wake him up. Yeah. But yeah, so then Plutus is like, okay, that's enough panic for one day, and he uses the herald's staff one more time to bring this nice, cool, like fragrant air and some water to put out all the fires, and he drops this little wisdom bomb. He says, when you're dealing with demon stuff, sometimes you need a little magic of your own to handle it. Okay, all of that, I am taking as, in my head, Goethe was trying to say, this is a masquerade ball. Some of these creatures are real, and some of them are people in costume. And the reason we're confused as to which is which is because he wanted it that way.
That would make some sense. Because on my first reading, where I didn't understand who Faust was in any of this, I was wondering, why are we reading any of this? So
okay, so we got that. Whew, yeah. Okay. So now let's get to the next scene. We got an imperial. We're still in the imperial palace. We're in a garden. So this is the morning after all of that crazy masquerade stuff, and we're in a palace garden. Faust and Mephisto are there, dressed all proper and serious now, right? And they're kneeling in front of the emperor and his court. Faust is apologizing for the whole disguising himself as Plutus thing and the wildfire show from last night.
Why would he apologize for playing a part at the carnival?
Yeah. The emperor's like, no, the chancellor, because the chancellor has it in for it's like you deceived our emperor by pretending to be someone that you weren't, and you put on this show, and we thought that money was real, and it turns out that it was.
Yeah, where was the chancellor in all this? He didn't get invited to the party. He had to,
because he's no fun.
Run the country. Yeah. Well, he was the designated survivor somewhere in a in a bunker. Never get invited to the carnivals.
Yeah.
The Joker comes and kills everyone at one carnival once, and now I have to be in a bunker every year.
Yeah. It's no fun. It's like... And I really like Prince. But yeah. So Faust is So he's apologizing. But the emperor actually really liked it. He was like, "That was awesome. Please do more stuff like that."
Right.
And Mephisto, always a smooth talker, he's like, "See, we proved fire is your servant now, and hey, we can get you control over the seas and the air too." And the emperor's loving this, right? He's just pumped to have these guys around who can help him escape his boring royal routine, right? And maybe that's the secret, right? Mephisto is trying to teach Faust is hey, the best way to make yourself happy is to make everybody else happy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't think that's what Mephisto is doing. But
yeah, maybe happiness comes from within.
yeah. And then Faust looks at him and Mephisto cannot keep a straight face. He's like, but yeah, okay. Then things get interesting. The steward bursts in with amazing news. Good news, everyone. All of the Empire's debts are gone. Right? Like the military guy shows up also saying like all the soldiers are suddenly back in line, right? They're following orders. The treasurer gives credit to Faust and Mephisto for fixing everything. So I guess the whole so that really was just like this. It is the Hangover. It's like, don't you remember you signed that decree to, it was like paper money, introducing it into the economy and all that, while you were Pan.
That's pretty good.
And I was Plutus, So this is what went down according to the Chancellor, right? These two came up with this wild idea to print paper money, and the Emperor's like, "Wait, what? Paper money? Like who forged my signature on these things?" And the Chancellor's like, "Actually, you did, Your Majesty. Remember last night during all that fire stuff, right?" So apparently they made thousands of copies.
Thousands of them, yeah.
Yes, right. Of these notes, like using Mephisto's magic, and everybody in the Empire is loving this. Like the Empire thinks it's weird, or the Emperor thinks it's weird, but it's like, okay, it's like it solved our problem, right? So then Faust and Mephisto jump in to explain how everyone's totally cool with these new banknotes because they're supposedly backed by all the this buried treasure in the Empire in the Empire's soil, which remember that was Mephisto's original pitch. The Emperor is convinced enough that he makes them both masters of the treasury and starts handing out gifts to everyone. And then, plot twist, the old fool shows up and he's like all tied up and he's only in his underwear, right? No,
he seems perfectly fine.
Yeah, right. He's back, and at first he's like super confused about like the whole paper money thing, but then he gets it, and he's like, "Sweet, I'm gonna dream about all my new estates tonight." Yeah. So, did we miss a scene where like you got the Chancellor and the Emperor kind of like ping pong looking from the old fool to the new fool to the old fool? And then Mephisto was like, oh, because that didn't happen. Like, so he's not dressed as the fool anymore.
No, he always was, but I don't think he was impersonating the fool at all. Everyone was like, the fool died.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But then we never explain why. They're just like, oh, never mind, he's alive now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, back then, it's like a courtier dies, and you're like, get me another Chancellor. I think that's what like he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be this like depraved, like pleasure-seeking, like doesn't care about human life or whatever.
Right, but he's the one who raises good questions. This fool, because everyone's like, "Oh, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy that," but the fool is the one who's like, "Wait a minute, you really mean I got 5,000 crowns just now?" And they're like, "Yeah." And he's like, they convince him, but he's like the only one who's like, "Wait a minute, why? I've been away for a day and a half as the fool, and now the entire economy of the empire is completely different."
Yeah, we're trying to say it was you. But okay, so this raises a question, Keenan. Is this Mephisto's game? Is that because we also find out that they haven't found the treasure yet.
Right.
So like Mephisto tells them, it's like, hey, there's all this treasure underneath your feet. Like that's going to save the economy. In the meantime, before we dig it up, let's just make these paper notes. Because we know that the treasure is going to back it up.
You're right.
So is the devil doing a surface good thing, but actually a bad thing by introducing paper money and this new kind of like form of wealth? And yes, there really is treasure down there, and he's kind of like, it's like, playing to like humanity's greed, or is he being a tricksy devil who's like, there's no actual like treasure down there, and I'm like fooling all these. Is this like a stone soup situation? Or what is it, like the Emperor's New Clothes situation where he's like conning them? It's like there is no treasure down there, and he's like, well, we don't need to dig, for the treasure. That's that's a lot of work. We know it's down there, so let's write checks that. And then he's like, they'll never be able to cash these checks.
Yeah. It's like stone soup if the soup turned out to be acid. and he killed everybody.
Right.
Because I think that's what we're supposed to understand is that this paper money is not going to be very good. I think, in 1832, that was still not popular. I've seen a couple of different sources say that this is Goethe attacking like paper money during the French Revolution, which was again not very unpopular at the time, throughout Europe. But I don't know, that seems a little quick for Goethe to have an idea like that. That's something that I don't know. It feels like historians would take a couple decades to figure out was really terrible during the French Revolution,
right? Yeah,
because that's only a couple decades before. But maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe they knew immediately it didn't work.
Yeah. So he's either really ahead of his time or not.
Yeah. That I mean, he was a very learned person, but I mean, history and news spread slower back then.
Right.
But people were really terrified of the French Revolution and the inflation that came out afterwards. I think because we're in America, we're like we had our revolution, then they had their revolution, and everything was great. But people throughout Europe were like, oh, that's just chaos and terrible, and they killed the king, and everything they did afterwards was no good.
Dogs and cats living together.
Dressing up as the Fates.
Yeah. Cannot have that.
No.
Yeah. Okay, so then everybody leaves except Mephisto. So this is his second kind of like, turn to the audience, right? And he can't help get like this one last thing, and he says, well, now nobody can say that the fool doesn't have any brains. And yeah, so he's fleeced him good, I think.
Oh, actually, I thought he was talking about the other fool, but you're saying he's talking about himself because he's the fool.
Right.
Jesus Christ.
He's the fool, and he's playing all of us for the fool. And Goethe's playing the fool.
Okay, right.
But he's playing all of like we're the fools.
I thought it was really weird that this old fool shows. I don't know why this old fool comes back into the play at all. So I thought it was weird that he was like, well, this old fool is really smart, but no, he means the new fool is really smart.
Yes.
Himself.
Yeah. Himself. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm catching up. This is taking me back to the Paradise Lost days, Lester.
See, but no. This is with the Paradise Lost days, right? It was you were Jack and I was Rose, and I was on that door, right? And I was like, just stay with me, Keenan. Just stay with me. It's like it's gonna be good. There was lots and lots of space,
right,
on the Paradise Lost door,
right.
But I was like, I need to spread out,
right.
Here,
you're too swole. You're too swole on that door, and you can't.
No. Here, there is a door, and we're both in the water for some reason. And Goethe's on the door, and he's like, "Why don't you just come up?" And we're like, "We can't make heads or tails of any of this."
Yeah, I thought I understood your first play. Great. Why'd you write a new play?
Yeah. Well, you don't understand. There is a shark that we need to jump, and it's actually in this water right now. And we're like, oh my god. Yeah. But yeah, okay. So our next scene is a dark gallery, right, in the palace. We're still in the palace. And Faust and Mephisto come in. And Faust is all worked up because apparently the emperor is demanding to see Helen of Troy and Paris. Right? You remember that, guys? Like that was in Marlowe's version, Faust's... I guess either students or contemporaries were like we want to see Helen of Troy. That was the sticky copy of Trojan Explosion.
That's right.
So now the emperor has gotten wind that this film exists, and he wants to see it.
But he wants to see Paris in it too.
Yes. Right. And so. So Faust is like, okay, all right, like, and he tells the genie, right? Hey, I know I was saving my last wish to set you free. But the emperor really wants,
right,
like a pristine copy of Trojan Explosion. So can you go get it? And this is where they have a falling out, right? And then, the astrologer, gets hold of Mephisto's lamp.
The lamp, yeah. He wishes for himself to become the Sultan, and then to become the most powerful sorcerer, and then to become a genie himself.
Right. Yes.
So so yada yada yada. Then we're back to Faust.
Right.
That's taken care of, luckily.
Right. Mrs. Doubtfire's there, and it's great. But no, Mephisto's like, no. Like this is going to be complicated because Helen and Paris, being pagans, are in their own special hell where Mephisto doesn't have his usual, like, authority.
Yeah.
And this is where folks, is where I kind of like fold my arms. I'm like, wait a minute. We know he's the devil, right?
He's the devil, all right.
And so he tells Faust that Faust, has to go meet these beings called the Mothers, who exist in this timeless, spaceless realm, right?
Yeah, have you ever heard of anything like this before?
No.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of, beyond this story, no.
Right.
I'm trying, like, are they is this from like Norse mythology? Are they the Urd, or are they, is this pagan, is this Hecate? Is this, are these like figures like the Greek fates, or the, not the muses, but like something like that?
Like
are they the
anti-muses?
Right.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find anything that they were like, so I don't know where they were coming from.
Yeah. So we can't trace this to like a mythological thing, but Goethe is saying the devil is not the biggest bad.
Yeah, I guess so.
And there is a deeper hell.
He's at least saying that there's a part of hell that where my powers don't work. I don't know if that means that the Mothers are worse than him, but certainly Faust is more scared of the Mothers than him.
Yes.
Yeah, so Mephistopheles is like, and there, the Mothers, and Faust is like, no, the Mothers,
yes.
no.
It's like he's heard of them before. It's
right.
Like, the Mothers, not the Mothers,
Yeah, so that is interesting. Okay, yeah, so I'm not the only one who didn't know what that was about, but that's so. What do you think about that? Because I think that's interesting. That it doesn't really jive with our understanding of Mephistopheles from the first play, but it's interesting here because it makes Faust have to do things rather than just rely on Mephistopheles to do things for him.
Yeah, right. It gives Faust like a quest to go on, right? And again, like, this is where I started being like, oh, hang on a second. Like, we were very clear in like the difference between Marlowe and Goethe was that Mephistopheles isn't a servant of Lucifer. He is Lucifer. He is the devil. So he should be like the biggest, like most powerful thing, aside from God, right? Like you got Derek Jacobi up in heaven, and then you got Toby Jones down in hell, and that's that, right?
Right.
And so now I'm wondering, it's like, okay, if the Mothers exist, and the Mothers, like the way he paints them, they're not like more evil than the devil. They're like just older, more ancient, more powerful than the devil.
Right.
So now I'm like, okay, what does that say about Derek Jacobi? What does that say about God? The Christian, like Yahweh, like we never hear from him again, we hear from a lot of others, but not him.
Right.
So yeah, but again, like I said, somehow I have less of a problem with this than I guess Old Lester would. Old Lester is still folding his arms about like, Pazuzu being in The Exorcist. And here I'm just like, well, okay, let's see where this goes. Let's see how crazy this gets. And I'm glad I held on tight and followed this to its conclusion. But yeah, so he tells Faust that he has to go and meet the Mothers who exist in this like under the earth kind of like realm. I'm thinking back of back at that Earth spirit who like in the radio play sounds like so much more powerful than Mephisto anyway. Right. And Faust is actually kind of excited about this because he's like, oh, like maybe in nothingness I'll find everything, right? But he's also scared. Like he's also scared, and he also like the Mothers are a new thing to him.
Yeah.
But he's like, well, just saying their name like sends a chill down my spine. So it's like he knows them and he doesn't know them. Like his primal part of him knows them.
Right. It's like the old scholar again. So we're coming back to that, like to experience things. He's an experiential learner.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to read things in books. He wants to go and see these Mothers for himself.
So yeah, Mephisto gives him this tiny key that starts growing in Faust's hands, and he's like, "This key is special. Just follow it where it leads down to the Mothers."
He had to warm the key up in his hand. It got a little weird.
Yes, yeah, it's one of those. It's like those were very, very popular in the '80s. Like you put it in some water and it just kind of like it's like it's as a sponge, right? It's basically right, but Mephisto doesn't tell him that because he wants Faust to have his fun. But Mephisto's like, you're going to be in a place where it's like, up is not up, down is not down, time doesn't matter, nothing like the rules of the universe don't apply in the realm of the Mothers. And so now Faust is, he's like getting pumped up, but he's also a little bit scared, right? Mephisto tells him, like, he will know that he's found the mothers when he sees this glowing tripod. And they'll be like, sitting or standing or walking around the tripod. So I have two questions.
Okay.
Tripod, that's like a torch or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a okay. So it's not a tripod like we know it. It
holds a camera.
It is well, it's basically that, but it holds like a burning torch instead.
Or a crystal ball or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a stand upon which, something like a flame or a crystal ball, like is, right?
Right.
And we're going to be seeing all of these mothers kind of like surrounding it. Now, we never get the actual number of mothers.
That's a good point. I assume there were 3.
Okay, thank you. Me too. But it never says in the text, oh, you know who I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of the triple goddess, like the pagan, like the maiden, the mother, the crone.
Oh, okay.
Like that's like as soon as they said the mothers, I'm like, oh, that's what this is, But no, there's. I think there's supposed to be more than 3. I think there's like just like an infinite swirling.
Right.
Yeah,
I guess I assumed 3 because Snap, Crackle, and Pop. There's 3 of them.
Okay, well, I was thinking of the witches in the Scottish play, but I think those are actually supposed to be like the triple goddess as well.
Did you see the Coen? Oh, not the Coen brothers. Sorry, Joel Coen's Macbeth.
No.
Catherine Hunter, who is this great British actor who I haven't heard of, she plays all 3 of the sisters.
Ooh.
It's very, very good. She's
okay.
fantastic, yeah.
I love that. I always love it when actors kind of like disappear in their roles and you can't tell. It's like, oh, they're the same person. Okay. I got to see that now. Okay. But yeah, okay, so he's off to see the mothers.
The mothers of Oz.
I was trying to think of something. Yeah. All right. But so Faust stamps his foot and poof, disappears into the ground. Mephisto standing there is like, well, I really hope he comes back. So this is something new, having Mephisto kind of like be, 1, worried about Faust.
Right.
And 2, worried at all.
Right.
Like he's like, I don't know, like this is a bad part of, the underworld that I don't even go to, right?
But it's again like this is all interesting. It's all working for me. This relationship between the two of them. Now they are like Abbott and Costello. They are like this duo, right? Batman and Robin, right? But the last we saw of him in the other play was like, oh my God, please, it burns so much. Don't drag me down there. Ripping at his flesh to stop him from dragging him down. But now they're just like over that. They're totally cool with each other again.
This is, you know what this is? This is. So part 1 was Tim Burton's Beetlejuice.
Okay.
And part 2 is the Beetlejuice cartoon.
That's right, exactly. That's exactly it.
Yeah. Now they're friends.
Oh, it's my best friend, Beetlejuice, right?
There. I hope I've solved the conundrum for some of you folks.
You are
just think of it that way, right? This is, like the demonic bioexorcist Beetlejuice,
right?
Like trying to destroy both of these families,
right?
And being actually evil and trying to abduct Lydia,
forcing you into a marriage, you teenage girl into a marriage, right?
And then they go camping.
They go on little adventures,
or they make a haunted house,
they fight bullies.
Yeah. Yeah, and you see Beetlejuice's neighbors and and all that stuff. That's what this is, and he's going into the neither world, right? That is Goethe's Faust Part 2.
Exactly. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Now I'm fine.
So, okay, back in the bright normal part of the palace, right? You got the emperor and his court, and they're all bustling around, super impatient to see Helen in Paris now. Some official comes up to Mephisto. He's like, "Hey, when is this happening?" And Mephisto's like, "Yes, we are working on it. We are calling all the video stores that are still open." Right? And then we get this hilarious scene where these women start coming up to Mephisto with all their problems, right? Someone's got skin problems, another one's got a swollen foot. That one wants to get the girl, that one's longing to be thinner. Right? And Mephisto, being Mephisto, he gives them these absolutely terrible solutions like, okay, rub frog spawn and toad tongues on your face, right? He's like, let me kick your foot, right? and also mark your crush with charcoal, and then eat it. But people just keep on crowding around him, asking for favors. And then finally, Mephisto's had enough of, playing demonic Dear Abby. So he's like,
Dear Scabby.
yes. Oh, that's so funny. I like that. We should have done that. So he's like, okay, mothers, like, give Faust back now, right? And the candles start dimming, and everybody moves to this old knight's hall, and it's all decked with boughs of with tapestries and armor. And Mephisto's thinking to himself that this creepy old hall is actually like perfect for this show. If you're gonna like summon some ancient Greek ghosts and stuff, right? This is where you do it, right?
Right, and I guess that is the question: what are we summoning the two most famous lovers of all time to do here in front of us all in this hall?
Yeah, like what is the title of this exposition going to be? We don't know.
One Night in Paris, I think.
Yeah, and the world's your oyster. Right? Yeah. Keenan, do you think it's weird that we didn't follow Faust down to be with the mothers?
It makes sense for a play. I would certainly like to see what nothing looks like.
Yeah, right? we have good news, ladies. The casting is done. It's up on the bulletin boards there. You just go look. It's like, oh, this is good. Oh, I'm going to be one of the mothers. Oh, so me too. I'm going to be one of them. I wonder how many scenes we have. I wonder, how big our part is, right? We seem to be very, very important. Even Mephisto is afraid of us, right? And then no scenes with the mothers. Yeah. But yeah, okay, so we're in this dimly lit knight's hall now, and everybody's already there, and the emperor and the whole court are all set up like they're about to watch a play. Interesting, right? It's a play within a play.
Right.
How do you do? Like, would you have the actors in the audience, or are you going to put up like a fake audience like set of chairs on the stage?
Oh, that's interesting. You should do it where you call up a man and a woman from the audience and have them play Helen and Paris.
Ah, okay, like
how
they're plants.
Beautiful they are. Yeah. No, not plants. It's like actual audience members. And then like, everyone's gonna kiss your ass for 2 lines and then roast you for another page or something.
Ooh, I like that. Actually, yeah. Okay. So yeah, so Mephisto comes in first, and then Faust shows up carrying his this tripod with an incense bowl. Okay, yeah. So basically, it's like a 3-legged stand. That's what a tripod is. I knew that. I just every time we only tripod only is one thing today. Well, no, I guess it's not like in
Yeah,
whatever.
That's your nickname in college.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, okay. So then now it's the big show. The astrologer comes out and he announces like the beginning of this show. So is he in on it? Does he know about the mothers? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Is he okay? The astrologer, right? Like he's supposed to be like. Because the astrologer and astronomer, we're gonna say like maybe court magic person, like
right.
Is he a humbug? Is he a fake? And that's the whole thing with him and Mephistopheles? Or is he like tapped into the magical world a little bit? Like, is he a Professor Marvel, or is he somebody with magical knowledge?
Yeah, I guess I assume that nobody has magical knowledge. But here's the devil. Here's Faust. So I don't know why I'm thinking that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's supposed to be like the funny bit. Is Mephistopheles shows up,
right,
and he looks at this guy who's like who claims to, it's like, in the spirits of the underworld have helped me to see this vision, and Mephistopheles turns to the audience like, oh yeah, right, like I don't know this guy, right?
Yeah, this guy's like I know the ways of the Lord and the devil.
Right. So to be like Beetlejuice showing up on like one of those like psychic talk shows or something like that. It's like, I can speak to the dead,
right. I can speak to the recently deceased.
Yes. It's like, okay, yeah, sure. Yeah. So they're all putting on this show, and Faust does the ritual in front of everybody, right? He calls upon the mothers, and he touches the key to the bowl, and boom, and then Paris appears, right? Not the city, the guy, right? Yeah, I was gonna say the hero, but he's not the hero. He's a terrible person. But yeah. Okay, this is interesting, right? It's like, so all the women in the audience, like, they're totally swooning over Paris. I like the radio play version, right? There's like, oh, she's, it's like, oh, he's so, it's like regal and elegant and handsome and shapely, right? And all the guys are, like, all the men, the chancellor and everybody, like, there is, he's far too rough, he's too stiff, right? He looks feminine, he's so uncouth, right? He looks like a peasant, right? And then it switches when Helen shows up, and Mephisto's even it's like, oh yeah, she's pretty, I guess, but if you're into that sort of thing, right? And then all of the guys who were just like shaming Paris were like, oh, she's so beautiful, she's so dainty, and all the girls are like, oh, she's, it's like, oh my God, look at how slutty she is. It's like, yeah. So you got shaming on both sides, right? Yeah. But yeah, like everybody's all like judging these two up on the stage, right? Right. Faust completely loses it. He is standing there just absolutely mesmerized, talking about how her beauty makes his whole world make sense now. He is devoted to her. He loves her. He worships her, right? And now we get the reverse reaction from the audience, right? The men are all like, oh my God, she's perfect, while the women are like picking her apart, right? Her proportions are all wrong. Right. Look at those feet. Her head's too small, blah, 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 right? And then things start getting crazy. And then, like, the guys in the audience and the girls, I think, they get excited because Paris is about to rape Helen, basically.
Yeah, the rape of Helen back then in the days of the Iliad and the translation of the Iliad means the kidnapping of Helen.
Right, the abduction, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, and that's one of those things where it's like, you feel weird even like explaining that because then it's almost like you sound like a rape apologist.
No, but that's what they would kidnap her and then make her their wives, and that is raping. Yeah.
Yeah, so actually, it's the
logical conclusion
definition
of that, right?
Yeah, of course, right? Right. So like, it doesn't even matter if it's the old definition or the new definition because it comes to the same thing, and but like back then, like, everyone was like fanning themselves and was like, oh my God, how steamy, how romantic, right? The guys and the girls were like, oh my gosh, right? And I remember, I think it was the Chancellor in the radio play, like he stands up from his seat and it's like, I shall name this play The Rape of Helen, right? And everyone's like, oh my gosh, this is so steamy. And Faust gets jealous of the ghost of Paris about to abduct Helen, and he's like, no. If anybody's going to abduct this lady, it's going to be me. And so he rushes in, in the midst of his own production, and grabs Helen, who, like, he must know is either a ghost or an illusion, or, well, no, it can't be. Okay, in the Marlowe version, it wasn't the real Helen.
Right, that was an apparition, and then he falls in love with her, but knows that, and it's a very, like, melancholy, sad way for him to end his life, is to be like, I have the power over things, but they're not real. Like, I have this, the power of a god, but it's not actual.
Right. But this one, like, he went to the mothers to get the real Helen, so this is the real Helen.
Right.
So, but he runs onto the stage, and he tries to grab Helen, and then there's a huge explosion, and then Faust is lying on the floor, and both Helen and Paris have vanished into thin air, right? And this is where the radio play just kind of does this transition where, like, we don't see or hear the reactions of the crowd. It's just like it ends in an explosion, right? Like that's the curtain, right? But here, Mephisto has to pick up Faust and, like, carry him out on his shoulders, right? and he says, it's like, well, that's life for you. Even being stuck with a fool doesn't help the devil. What?
To have to carry fools like this around can even break the devil's back, I've found.
Okay. That's okay. So again, it's the play on words of, like, because he's the fool, but, like, he's carrying Faust, right?
He's literally carrying him, right?
Yeah, right. And yeah, everything goes dark. Everybody's confused and making noise, right? The chandelier has just fallen, and everyone's like, oh, right? No chandelier, right? But yeah, curtain down, end of Act 1 of Part 2.
Great.
And that's it, right? Folks, we began thoroughly confused. And there's good chiastic structure. We kind of understood what was going on, and then we end thoroughly confused.
Yeah.
So, okay. Keenan, what do you think of the first act of part 2 of Goethe's Faust?
Oh yeah, I am lost, but I think I understand that it's meant to be funnier than part 1 and weirder than part 1. So
yeah.
I'm excited for it. I wonder what's going to happen. I'm not reading ahead. I refuse to. But yeah, is he going to go and search for Helen? Is he going to reform the monetary systems in the kingdoms across Europe? I have no idea.
Yeah. Is this going to be like a Forrest Gump situation where he just goes from kingdom to kingdom and is like, well, why don't you do this? And they're like, oh my God.
My God. Yeah, he's like
taxes,
down in Panama, and he's like, well, it seems like you could just build yourself a canal. And like, oh, a canal.
And whatever you do, don't sell it to anybody. Yeah, I mean, like, that's what it seems to be gearing up towards. But, like, this is such a weird ending to an act because he, like, thoroughly embarrassed himself.
That's true, yeah.
He, like, okay, I don't know what the audience thinks, if they think that this is the real Helen in Paris, or if they're actors that, you know, that Faust has you know, like, hired, or if Faust is, like, this powerful conjurer, like in the first one, and he has conjured the actual, like, you know, Paris and Helen. But, like, whatever they thought of Faust, they all saw Faust, like, try to rush Helen. And then get exploded in the face like a Looney Tunes character and then fall flat on his face.
Right.
Like what like he was gearing up to be, like, you know, the power behind the throne. And now they're like, oh, that's kind of like I don't know what you like yeah, it's weird that we don't get any of their reactions.
Yeah. And there's dozens of them. There's dozens of people there. So.
Yeah. Many people.
Lot of people. Yeah.
So the impression I got, because, you know, I listened to the entire radio play. I know it's skipping a lot, but I don't think we get a resolution from the Holy Roman Empire.
Oh.
Like I think he's embarrassed himself so much that they have to go to another place.
Oh, all right, great. Wonderful. Well, yeah, so I have no idea what I'm looking forward to, but I'm looking forward to it.
So folks, stick with us. And if anybody does know a little bit more, because this one, this one is a little bit more than we bargained for. You know, I was leading Keenan through Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained, but this one we're both just little German children in the woods.
Yeah.
And when we come upon the Scandi house, and we're like, we don't even know if the witch is home, you know.
Yeah, feels like we're back, baby.
Yep. Yeah. Now I can know what you feel like.
Great.
We're just wandering through. It's like I was following you. Well, I was following you. So yeah, we need a devil to guide us, right?
That's right.
An unholy star. Yeah. But for now, folks, this has been another episode of The Devil's Details. I've been Lester Ryan Clark. You can summon me on all the socials as Lester Ryan Clark.
And I've been Keenan Diaz. You can invoke me on Letterboxd and Instagram as Howdy Keenan.
Yeah. Find more of our shows and other really cool podcasts at truestory.fm, or feel free to drop us a message at Banana for Scale Mail, MAIL, @gmail.com. We got our Facebook listener group, Banana for Scale. That's a community for all of our shows, including this one. It's a private group. Just request to join and we'll let you in. If you want more, consider joining us at truestory.fm/join. Look for Banana for Scale. That's us. You get bonus episodes of all of our shows, access to our Discord, and you get your episodes a week early. Pretty cool. Just $5. Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? We're not even asking for your souls. Just give us a 5 pentagram rating on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to our show. That and sharing the show by word of mouth or on social media helps our little podcast grow and find more cool people like you. All right, folks. And we hope you stick with us through this Faust journey. From what I remember, it does get wild, it does get crazy, and a little bit less confusing, and I'm looking forward to that. But until next week, folks, love and hisses. Mwah.